The galaxy was already burning when the message reached Earth. No one expected the war to come so fast, and no one expected it to come from a species that humans had never even heard of. They called themselves the Varaxi, a tall insected race with sharp armor, cold voices, and a military force that crushed entire worlds in days. When their ships entered human space, every government panicked. Every defense system activated. Every hope felt small. But the strange thing was not their attack, it was their target. The Varaxi were not interested in cities, planets, or resources. They were searching for something else, something that they kept locked behind energy cages on every world they conquered. Something alive. Rumors spread quickly. Some said the Varaxi were hunting a creature that could not be controlled. Others believed it was a weapon, and a few feared it was something even worse, something they could not understand. Captain Lyra Hale did not care about rumors, she cared about survival. She stood on the deck of the Terran exploration ship Horizon Dawn, staring at the stars that flickered like dying candles. Her crew waited for her command, nervous but loyal. Lyra was known for calm thinking, sharp instincts, and the unusual ability to stay confident even when everything seemed impossible. Her mission was simple on paper. Follow a faint distress signal coming from an uncharted moon near the war front, but nothing felt simple anymore. The signal was weak, almost like it was being hidden. And the strange part, it carried an audio pattern that did not match any human or alien communication. It sounded like a whistle, a single, high-pitched tone repeating every minute. The crew around her whispered quietly, unsure what they were walking into. The ship landed on the moon's surface, and Lyra led a small team into a dark metallic structure half buried in the rocky ground. The place looked like a lab but not a human one. Everything was too smooth, too clean, too advanced. The lights flickered as if the building was dying. Inside the deepest chamber they found it. A large containment tube cracked open from the inside. Sparks flashed along the edges. In the center of the broken tube sat a creature that looked impossible, like a mix between a honey badger and something far more dangerous. Its eyes glowed faintly, its claws were sharp enough to tear through steel. Dust floated around it from the shattered tube, but it did not move. No one spoke at first. The creature simply stared at them. Lyra stepped forward even though her team tried to stop her. She felt something strange. Not fear, not aggression, something like connection. The creature let out a low, rumbling sound. Her second-in-command, Jackson, whispered, "Captain, that thing looks like it could rip through all of us." Lyra did not answer. She lowered herself slowly, kneeling to match its eyes. The creature tilted its head as if studying her. She noticed a metallic band around its neck, blinking red, some sort of alien restraint, maybe Varaxi technology, maybe worse. And then it happened. A sound echoed from the far wall. A speaker activated. The whistle tone, the one from the signal, played loudly through the chamber. The creature immediately reacted. It tensed, muscles tightening, eyes narrowing. Its breathing became sharp and fast. Lyra watched closely. The whistle did not frighten it. It angered it. Someone had been using that whistle to control it, or at least trying to. Jackson raised his weapon. "Captain, the creature's getting aggressive." Lyra held up a hand. "Wait." The whistle repeated. The creature growled, louder this time. Lyra studied the tone. It was not a human whistle. It was artificial, wrong, sharp in all the wrong places. She reached for her own gear and found a small emergency whistle attached to her suit. She had never used it before. It was meant for signaling in field operations. She slowly lifted it. "Captain, what are you doing?" Jackson hissed. Lyra ignored him and blew the whistle gently. A soft, natural, human sound filled the room. The creature froze instantly. The artificial whistle stopped. The room went silent. Lyra kept her eyes locked on the animal-like being. It watched her with a strange calmness now, almost like it recognized something, or remembered something. Its breathing slowed. She blew the whistle again, this time softer, like she was calling a lost pet. The creature stepped toward her. Jackson nearly fired his weapon, but Lyra waved sharply without looking back. She could feel the weight of the moment. This was no ordinary creature. This was the thing the Varaxi were searching for, the thing they thought could not be trained, the thing they feared. The creature lowered itself slowly, sitting in front of her, eyes fixed on her whistle. Lyra reached out her hand. The creature hesitated, then pressed its head gently against her palm. The whole team gasped in disbelief. Before anyone could speak, the building shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. A loud alarm echoed through the chamber. Jackson shouted, "Captain, Varaxi ships are entering the moon's atmosphere." Lyra looked down at the creature. It looked up at her, trusting her completely now. The Varaxi were not searching for a monster. They were searching for a weapon they could not control, and now that weapon had chosen a human. Lyra stood, placing her hand on the creature's head. "All right," she whispered. "You're coming with us." The ground shook again as Varaxi troops landed outside. Lyra grabbed her radio. "Everyone prepare for extraction. We're leaving with the creature." The creature growled, not at her, but at the sound of the approaching enemy. Lyra took a deep breath. The war had just changed, and it began with a single human whistle. The alarms outside grew louder as Lyra and her team rushed back through the strange corridors of the alien lab. The creature followed closely beside her, its eyes sharp, its movements low and silent. Every tremor in the ground told her that the Varaxi had already begun landing in large numbers. Their ships were always fast, always cold, always efficient, and they never arrived for negotiation. Jackson ran ahead, scanning each hallway with his rifle. "Captain, we need to move faster. Their dropships are touching down." Lyra nodded but kept her pace steady. She knew rushing would only bring panic. The creature stayed near her heel like it understood she was its only anchor in the chaos. She had seen animals trust humans before, but not like this, not after a single whistle. As they turned into the main hallway, the lights flickered and finally died, leaving only the soft glow of emergency strips along the walls. Shadows stretched across the floor like long claws. The creature growled softly, sensing the danger. Lyra whispered, "Stay with me, don't attack unless I say." The creature blinked once, almost like a nod. The team reached the main exit, but the huge metal doors were already opening from the outside. Jackson swore under his breath. "They're fast, too fast." A tall Varaxi trooper stepped inside, its insected legs clicking sharply against the floor. Its armor shimmered with a deep blue sheen, and its helmet curved like a blade. Behind it, two more soldiers entered, holding energy rifles that glowed like burning ice. The Varaxi spoke with a distorted metallic voice. "Return the specimen, you are outmatched." Lyra stepped forward before anyone else could speak. "It's not your specimen." The Varaxi tilted its head. "You misunderstand. It belongs to our empire. Surrender it and you may leave unharmed." Lyra felt the creature tense beside her. It didn't fear the Varaxi. It hated them. Its claws scraped lightly on the floor, ready to strike. Jackson whispered, "Captain, we don't have the firepower for a direct fight." Lyra kept her gaze on the Varaxi. Her mind raced. She knew standard negotiation tactics would not work. The Varaxi respected only strength, and she had something more powerful than weapons, something the Varaxi failed to control. She slowly raised the small whistle again. The Varaxi soldiers tensed at the motion, unsure whether it was a weapon. But Lyra brought the whistle to her lips and blew a single soft note. The creature moved instantly, not with violence, not with fear, with obedience. It stepped in front of Lyra, placed itself between her and the Varaxi, and let out a sound so deep it vibrated through the metal walls. The Varaxi leader took a small step back. Even they understood what that sound meant. Lyra lowered the whistle. "You don't own it," she said calmly, "and you never will." The Varaxi aimed their rifles. Jackson fired first. Energy bolts flashed through the air. The hallway erupted with blinding light and deafening noise. Lyra pulled the creature with her and dove behind a support column. The creature snarled, ready to leap, but she held its fur firmly. "Not yet," she whispered. "Wait." The creature stopped moving immediately. Her control over it was shocking even to herself. Jackson and two others fired burst after burst, driving the Varaxi back a few steps, but their armor absorbed most of the damage. Lyra knew they couldn't win a long fight. She blew a quick two-note whistle. The creature exploded into motion. It launched across the floor faster than any animal Lyra had ever seen. A blur of black and white fur, claws, and fury. It struck the first Varaxi soldier with a force that sent the armored alien crashing into the wall. Sparks burst as its rifle flew from its hands. The other two fired at the creature, but it moved unpredictably, left, right, rolling under beams, climbing up the wall, attacking from impossible angles. Its claws tore into armor plates that even military-grade bullets struggled to dent. Jackson stared wide-eyed. "Captain, what is that thing?" Lyra didn't answer. She watched the creature fight, not with mindless rage, but with strange strategy. It avoided fatal blows. It attacked weak joints. It disarmed. It disabled. It was not a wild animal. It was intelligent. Within moments, the Varaxi troops lay unconscious or unmoving on the floor, their armor dented and shredded. The creature padded back to Lyra, breathing hard but controlled. It nudged her hand gently, waiting for her next signal. Lyra stroked its head once. Good work. They moved outside into the rocky moon's surface. The sky filled with thick clouds of dust kicked up by descending Varexy transports. Explosions lit the horizon. The Horizon Dawn, their ship, hovered nearby with its ramp open. Her pilot, Rima, shouted from the hatch, "Captain, we need to take off now. More Varexy ships approaching." Lyra ran with her team across the uneven ground. The creature matched her speed perfectly. Varexy drones flew overhead, firing at the ground, but Jackson and Rima provided cover fire long enough for everyone to board. As soon as the creature stepped onto the ramp, Rima stared at it in panic. "Captain, what is that thing doing on our ship?" Lyra climbed inside and sealed the ramp. "Saving us." Rima swallowed hard but launched the ship into the sky without further argument. Inside the cargo bay, the creature sat calmly, as if it had simply followed its owner home. The crew kept their distance, whispering among themselves. Jackson finally approached Lyra. "Captain, the Varexy crossed half the galaxy to capture that thing. Why?" Lyra looked at the creature, noticing the faint scars on its neck and the metal band blinking weakly. The Varexy had clearly tried to control it through force. They failed, but a human whistle, that worked. She spoke quietly. "Whatever it is, it trusted me. That means it can choose, and if it can choose, then it's not a weapon." Jackson frowned. "Then what is it?" Lyra took a deep breath. "I don't know yet, but the Varexy fear it enough to start a war, and now it's with us." The creature lifted its head and watched her with calm, loyal eyes. Lyra felt a strange certainty in her chest. The galaxy had just gained a new player, and humanity had just gained a powerful ally. The Horizon Dawn cut through space at maximum speed, engines glowing bright blue as it escaped the moon's orbit. The crew remained silent for several minutes, each person processing everything that had happened. The Varexy didn't usually retreat. They didn't usually focus their forces on a single moon. And they had never, ever fought to reclaim one creature. Lyra stood on the bridge, watching the stars stretch into long white lines as the ship entered faster than light travel. The hum of the engines usually calmed her. Not today. Not with the creature sitting behind her near the console, calmly watching every move she made. Jackson leaned against a support beam. "Captain, we need answers, and we need them fast." Lyra nodded slowly. "I know." The creature rested its head on its paws, breathing softly. Its eyes glowed faintly in the dim bridge lights. Lyra looked back at it. Every movement it made was measured, deliberate, not like a wild animal. More like something trained, or something that understood far more than it should. Rima, still shaken, asked quietly, "Are we sure it's safe?" Lyra kept her voice steady. "If it wanted to hurt us, we wouldn't be standing here." The creature blinked once at Lyra, almost like a quiet agreement. Jackson crossed his arms. "But why did it listen to your whistle? The Varexy tried everything. They couldn't control it." "That's exactly what scares me," Rima said. "If it listens to us, that means it can learn from us too." Lyra didn't look away from the creature. "That's not a bad thing." The ship suddenly jolted. Not violently, just a soft shake, like something brushing against the hull. The lights flickered for a moment. Rima frowned. "We didn't hit anything." Jackson tapped the console. "No external objects detected." Lyra's instinct sharpened. "Something S following us." The sensors lit up. A single Varexy scout ship had appeared behind them, thin and sharp like an arrowhead. Varexy ships were terrifying for one reason. They never acted alone unless they were scouting for something critical. Jackson swore under his breath. "They tracked us through FTL. That's impossible." "No," Lyra said softly. "Not impossible, not if they're desperate." The creature stood up, sensing danger. Its fur bristled, its body stiffened. Lyra turned to it. "Calm." She blew a soft, gentle whistle. The creature relaxed instantly, eyes softening. Rima stared. "Captain, you have to know what that means." "I know," Lyra said quietly. "I'm the only one it listens to." The Varexy ship fired a warning bolt ahead of them, a bright streak of blue energy that passed dangerously close to their bow. Jackson grabbed the railing. "They want us to drop out of FTL." Rima looked at Lyra. "If we keep going, they'll fire for real." Lyra hesitated. She didn't want to fight. Not with a creature the Varexy would do anything to capture. But running wasn't an option either. She needed to understand what the Varexy wanted, and why. She made her decision. "Cut FTL," she ordered. Rima swallowed hard but obeyed. The stars snapped back to normal as the ship dropped into normal space. The Varexy scout ship approached slowly, hovering like a predator waiting for a weakness. Lyra pressed the comms button. This is Captain Lyra Hale of the Horizon Dawn. You're entering human space. State your purpose. A cold, metallic Varaxy voice responded instantly. Return the specimen. You have no claim to it. Lyra shot a glance at the creature. It was glaring at the screen, a low rumble starting again in its throat. Lyra replied, "It came with us by choice." "Incorrect," the Varaxy answered. "It obeyed manipulation from your species by accident. Surrender it." Jackson whispered, "They're lying, it chose you." Lyra's voice hardened. "Why do you want it so desperately?" There was a long silence. Then the Varaxy said, "Its classification is Omega class, uncontainable, indestructible, it must be controlled." Lyra's blood ran cold. "Then why can't you control it?" "Because it is not designed for us," the Varaxy answered. "It is designed for you." Lyra froze. Jackson looked completely lost. "Designed for humans." The Varaxy continued, its voice slightly strained. "The species was created by an ancient race. They left only fragments. The creatures were programmed to obey simple tonal commands. Your whistle. A human whistle. That is why it responds to you." Lyra felt the weight of his words settle on her like a heavy cloak. The creature approached her side quietly, listening. Jackson stepped back, stunned. "Captain, this thing might be older than all of us." Rima whispered, "Maybe older than our entire civilization." The Varaxy voice grew impatient. "You cannot understand the danger. Surrender it now." Lyra muted the channel. Her crew looked to her for an answer they did not have. Jackson finally spoke. "If what the Varaxy said is true, then the creature might be more important than we realized." Lyra kneeled beside it. Its loyal eyes met hers again. She gently placed her hand on its head. "You chose us," she whispered, "not them." The creature leaned into her touch. She stood slowly. "We're not handing it over." Rima's voice trembled. "They'll kill us for it." Lyra faced the bridge window, watching the Varaxy ship drift closer. "Then we don't give them the chance." Before anyone could respond, the creature suddenly growled loudly, a deep thunder-like vibration filling the entire ship. The Varaxy ship fired a lock-on beam. Rima shouted, "Incoming weapons." Jackson grabbed his rifle. "Captain, what do we do?" Lyra blew the whistle, 3 sharp notes. The creature's eyes glowed suddenly, brighter than before. Energy rippled through its fur like waves of silver light. Lyra stared in shock. She hadn't known the creature could do that. And behind them, the Varaxy ship charged weapons to full power. Lyra felt something shift inside her. Everything was about to change again. The glow around the creature grew brighter, spreading across its body in waves of silver light. Every strand of fur seemed charged with energy, and the air around it vibrated with a faint humming sound. Lyra stepped back, stunned by the sudden transformation. She had blown the whistle without knowing what would happen, but the creature's reaction was far beyond anything she expected. Rima stared in panic. "Captain, what is it doing?" Lyra didn't answer. She couldn't. She watched the creature raise its head, eyes burning bright like small suns. It stood firmly, as if preparing for something only it understood. The Varaxy scout ship outside charged its weapons. The front of the alien vessel glowed with an icy blue light that expanded quickly. Jackson yelled, "We need to move. They're about to fire." But before anyone could act, the creature roared. It was not a normal roar. It was a deep, resonating pulse that shook the entire Horizon Dawn. The lights flickered again, the consoles rattled, and an invisible shockwave spread outward from the creature's body. The shockwave hit the Varaxy ship. In an instant, its glowing weapon dimmed, sputtered, and went dark. The scout ship swerved uncontrollably, spinning like its systems were being scrambled. Sparks shot from its engines. The hum of its charged weapon vanished. Jackson blinked in disbelief. Did it just disable their ship? The creature's glow faded slowly, returning to its normal calm appearance. It let out a low sound, like an exhausted sigh, and lowered itself onto the floor. Lyra knelt beside it. She gently touched its head. "You protected us," she whispered. The creature closed its eyes briefly but stayed alert, ears flicking as if still listening for danger. Rima checked the sensors. "The Varaxy scout ship is drifting. Their systems are down. Whatever the creature did, it knocked out their power core." Jackson exhaled in relief but shook his head. "If a single scout ship can track us, the rest won't be far behind. The Varaxy don't give up. We need to disappear now." Lyra nodded. "Set course for the nearest unmonitored system, something far off route." Rima's hands raced across the controls. "There's a dead zone region about 3 hours from here. No patrols, no colonies, nothing but dust clouds." Lyra agreed. "Take us there." The Horizon Dawn surged forward, leaving the disabled Varaxy ship behind. As the stars stretched into lines again, Lyra sat beside the creature. She examined the metallic band around its neck. The blinking red light had dimmed, almost like the device was dying. Jackson crouched beside her. "We need a medic to check it." Lyra nodded. "Rima, tell Dr. Kess to prepare the med bay." The creature rose and followed Lyra through the ship. It walked calmly, though slower now, as if the energy blast had drained it. Crew members stepped aside nervously, unsure whether to fear it or trust it. Doctor Kess, an older man with a calm voice, waited with scanning tools ready. He didn't flinch when the creature entered. He simply switched on the hollow scanner. "Let's see what we're dealing with," he said. The creature sat patiently, watching him with curious eyes. Kess studied the data appearing on the screen. "Interesting, very interesting." Jackson asked, "What is it?" "This creature," Kess said slowly, "is biologically similar to Earth animals, but not identical. Its cells regenerate faster. Its immune system is unbelievably advanced. And this," he pointed to the metallic band, "this is Varaxy tech, but heavily modified. They didn't create it. They copied it, and badly." The ancient ship drifted silently in the dust cloud, its surface covered in patterns that glowed faintly like dying stars. The Horizon Dawn approached slowly, guided by Lyra's careful commands. No one spoke. The space felt heavy, as if the air itself carried memories older than any known civilization. The creature stood at the front of the bridge, watching the enormous structure with calm intensity. Its ears twitched, and its fur rippled like it sensed something calling to it. Jackson whispered, "Captain, I think this is where it came from." Lyra nodded. "This ship, it must belong to the ancient species that created its kind." Rima checked the scanners. There are no life signs, but the structure still has power, very low but steady. Lyra felt a strange pull in her chest. She didn't understand it, but she trusted it. "Prepare the docking clamp." "We're going inside." Jackson gave her a worried look. "Captain, this place could be unstable, or hostile, or both." "I know," Lyra said quietly, "but the creature wants to go, and I think we're meant to follow." The docking arm extended and locked onto a dimly lit port on the side of the ancient ship. The metal shifted slightly, as if awakening from a long sleep. A soft pulse of light moved along its hull, traveling toward the docking ring. Jackson stepped back. "That's not normal." Lyra exhaled, opened the airlock. The door slid open with a deep rumbling sound, revealing a long corridor filled with soft white mist. The walls were smooth and curved, glowing faintly with silver and pale blue lines that flowed like veins. The creature stepped forward first. Its paws touched the ancient floor with a sense of familiarity. Lyra followed with Jackson and two more crew members behind her, their weapons ready but lowered. The corridor felt alive. The walls reacted to their presence, the glowing lines brightening whenever the creature passed. It was as if the ship recognized it. Jackson whispered, "Are we walking inside a giant machine or a living organism?" Lyra didn't answer. She was watching the creature. It moved slowly, sniffing the air, listening to sounds no human could hear. Then it suddenly paused at a large circular door at the end of the corridor. The door had symbols on it, curved lines that matched the patterns on the creature's collar. Lyra touched the metal band around its neck. The blinking red light had almost faded completely. "This door, it's reacting to the same language," she said. The creature raised its head and let out a soft, low hum. The door responded instantly. The symbols lit up bright silver, and the circular door rotated silently, sliding open to reveal a massive chamber. The chamber was breathtaking. A vast, oval-shaped room stretched several stories high, filled with floating platforms, glowing crystals, and large pods that looked like they once held more creatures. Everything was silent now, abandoned, but still functional after countless ages. Jackson stepped forward slowly. "This place, it's a nursery or a creation lab." Lyra's heart tightened. They made more of its kind here. The creature walked toward the center of the chamber where a raised platform stood. On it was a small pedestal glowing softly. The creature placed its paw on the pedestal. The entire chamber came alive. Lights flowed across the walls. Holograms flickered into existence, showing ancient beings, tall, graceful, and shimmering with light. They had long limbs, soft, radiant eyes, and smooth bodies that shifted like liquid crystal. They looked nothing like humans. And yet the room felt peaceful, protective, designed for guidance. A hologram began to speak in a language no one understood. The creature watched closely, ears lowering as if it understood every word. Lyra stepped closer, trying to follow the patterns. The hologram changed, projecting images. They showed the ancient species creating the creature's kind. The process was beautiful, gentle energy, organic growth, careful shaping. The creatures were guardians, protectors, designed with loyalty as their core instinct. Then the images showed something else. The ancient species dying, their worlds falling one by one, their enemies unknown. Their last hope was to send their guardian creatures into the galaxy, hidden in sealed pods. But the guardians needed someone to command them, not through cruelty or force, through trust, through tone. Through a signal that came naturally to a species they had never met but believed would one day appear, a species that used whistling. Lyra felt her breath catch. They made them for us, for humans. The final hologram showed a human-like silhouette, not exactly human, more like a prediction. The ancient species had drawn a figure with a whistle in their hand. Jackson whispered, "They predicted humans before humans existed." "That's impossible." Lyra shook her head. "Not impossible. The galaxy is older than anything we can measure. They must have seen something in the future, or prepared for something they believed would happen." The holograms faded. The creature stepped down from the pedestal and walked toward Lyra. It nudged her hand gently, more affectionate than ever. Lyra knelt and hugged it, feeling the warmth of its fur and the steady beat of its heart. "You were made to protect someone," she whispered, "and somehow you chose me." A deep rumble shook the entire chamber. The lights dimmed, dust fell from the ceiling. Rima's voice crackled through Lyra's communicator. "Captain, a Varexy fleet just arrived outside the dead zone. They tracked us again. They're charging weapons." Lyra looked at the creature. It stared back at her with determination. Jackson grabbed his rifle. "Captain, they're here for it. They'll blast this whole ship apart to get inside." Lyra stood. "Then we have to leave now." But the creature didn't move. Instead, it turned toward the pedestal again and growled softly, as if warning Lyra of something she hadn't seen yet. Then another hologram flickered above the pedestal, this one clearer, brighter. It showed the ancient species standing in the same chamber, placing their hands on the pedestal. The room expanded with light, forming a shield around the entire ship. A shield strong enough to withstand massive attacks. Jackson stared. "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" Lyra nodded. "This ship has defensive systems." The creature stepped onto the pedestal again. The chamber brightened. The ground vibrated. Outside, the Varexy fleet charged their weapons. Lyra took a step back as the ancient ship began to awaken fully for the first time in thousands of years. And she knew the creature was about to do something that could change the entire war. The ancient chamber vibrated as the creature stepped fully onto the glowing pedestal. Lines of silver light crawled across the floor, up the walls, and into the ceiling. The symbols carved into the ancient ship brightened like they were waking from a long, dreamless sleep. Lyra shielded her eyes as the glow intensified. Jackson and the others backed away as the air filled with energy that felt alive. The creature stood tall at the center, calm and unmoving, as if it had done this before. Outside, the Varexy fleet finished charging their weapons. Their largest dreadnought aimed directly at the Horizon Dawn and the ancient ship. The enemy commander gave a cold order to fire. Lyra shouted into her comm, "Rima, brace for impact." Before the Varexy weapons could release their blasts, a massive energy wave pulsed from the ancient ship. It spread outward in a perfect sphere of silver light. The wave was silent, no explosion, no shock, but its power was unmistakable. It washed over everything like a powerful tide. The Varexy fleet froze. Their charged weapons flickered, then died. Their engines stalled. Even their communication signals were cut. One by one, ships drifted powerless in the dust clouds. Jackson's jaw dropped. It just shut down an entire fleet. Lyra stared at the creature in awe. "It's activating the defense system. The ancient species built this ship as a sanctuary and as a shield." The creature stood proudly, its eyes glowing with the same silver light as the chamber. Then slowly the energy began fading, not collapsing, calming, like the ship recognized the danger had passed. Lyra stepped closer to the pedestal. "You saved us again." The creature lowered its head gently toward her, nuzzling her hand. She stroked its fur softly. The feeling of connection, trust, and loyalty wrapped around her heart like a warm thread. Jackson approached, still stunned. "Captain, this ship, this creature, this whole place, it's a weapon, but not the kind any army could create." Lyra nodded. "It's protection. The ancient civilization created guardians to defend those who followed after them." Rima's voice cracked through the comm. "Captain, the Varexy ships are still disabled. Should we move in and finish them?" No, Lyra answered firmly. They came to take something that was never theirs. Killing them won't fix anything. It will only fuel the war. Jackson looked uncertain, but they'll come after us again. Lyra glanced at the ancient ship's walls, glowing softly like gentle stars. Not after this. They were just shown power greater than anything they've ever faced. If they're intelligent, they'll step back. The creature stepped off the pedestal. The glowing faded completely from the room, leaving only the dim silver lines that marked the ship's old heartbeat. The chamber felt peaceful again. Lyra placed her hand on the creature's head. We're leaving. As they walked back through the corridor, the walls dimmed behind them, as if the ship was going back to sleep. When they reached the airlock, the Horizon Dawn crew watched the creature with a mixture of fear and admiration. Lyra helped it step aboard as the airlock sealed shut. Jackson whispered, "Captain, what now? Do we take it back to Earth?" Lyra looked at the stars outside the viewport. No, Earth isn't ready. Humanity isn't ready. If the Varaxi want this creature, other species will too. Bringing it home would paint a target on our planet. So what do we do? He asked. We keep moving, she said softly. We learn from it, protect it, and let it protect us. Until we understand its purpose. The creature curled up near her chair on the bridge, resting but alert. Its presence no longer scared the crew. Instead, it gave them strange comfort. Rima spoke quietly. Captain, the Varaxi fleet is retreating. Jackson blinked. Retreating, they never retreat. Lyra watched the Varaxi ships pull away into the dust clouds, one by one, engines repairing themselves just enough to flee. They didn't fire. They didn't threaten. They ran. She knew then that the ancient ship's energy blast had sent more than a physical message. It sent a warning. The kind only a desperate empire would understand. The Horizon Dawn disconnected from the ancient ship. As they drifted back into open space, the relic slowly sank deeper into the dust cloud, hiding itself once again. It had fulfilled its purpose for now. Lyra took a slow breath. Set a new course, somewhere the Varaxi won't track us. Rima nodded and entered coordinates. Any preference? Just away, Lyra said, as far as possible. The ship began to move, engines glowing brighter as they accelerated. The creature lifted its head and looked at her. Lyra knelt beside it and smiled gently. You're free now, you choose where you want to go. It pressed its forehead against her chest, a gesture of pure trust. Jackson chuckled softly. Looks like it already chose. The Horizon Dawn entered faster than light travel, the stars stretching into white streaks around them. The crew settled into their stations, knowing their lives would never be normal again. Lyra looked at the creature and whispered,